S, what's up, man? How you been? Hope you're doing okay. See if we can get this rolling here. It's been a little while, and I'm actually just working on kind of tearing some stuff down here. But you guys are welcome to watch, like, some fish in there to see. HSP, what's up? How's it going? Oh, I hear you. S. I hear you. Hope you're doing well, man. I know it's been a little while since I've chatted with you. Hope everything's going okay. I'm working on tearing down a few things for the next couple months here. Color Guppies, what's up? I'll see if people roll in here. Kind of a last minute thing. I was talking about doing it earlier and just kind of decided to do it at the last second. So we'll see who pops up. Just kind of thinking around down in the fish room right now. Anybody that happens to be watching, feel free. I think I posted the link there. If you guys want to come up and chat, you're more than welcome to. 3G, what's up, brother? How's it going? Hope you guys are doing well. Just hung out over in Shanna's stream for a little bit. She's doing a ladies' night thing, I guess. So hung out over there, listen to them babble for a little bit. And Hello, Guppies, thanks, bud. It's not that impressive of a tank. The fish that are in there are pretty cool. And I'm hoping that they take off and start breeding soon. But we'll see how that goes. Fish do everything. These guys should be old enough to breed soon. Actually, just recently I recorded a video and edited it a little bit. I just haven't got around to posting it. So hopefully you guys will get to see that soon. What are you guys up to? What have you been up to? What's going on? Anything new? I haven't been around for a while, so I don't know what's going on with anybody these days. But so goes life. Catch up with you guys when I can. Hope you're all doing great. Right now, you guys are staring at a 75. It's hanging out down low in the fish room. It has a group of 9 juvenile pseudocrinolabris dwarf dark ventral, which is an officially undescribed species, but pretty cool. See if we can get you guys in there so you can get a little bit of a look. This might come out. They're pretty young. They're starting to color up a little. Cruising around. They are. I know I have at least 2 males in there. I think 3. And honestly, if I got 3 males and 6 females, I would be just fine with that. That'd be pretty sick. I would appreciate it. If you guys can hear me, let me know. If the audio is okay. If there's too much bubbling in the background, I can fill the earphones a little bit. I actually just ordered another group of air stones to fix the obnoxiously loud bubbling sound. So we'll get to that this week, I hope. Kind of running out of time here before work gets in the way, but that's all right. Tearing down a few tanks, so my wife doesn't have so much to worry about while I'm gone for a little while to work. Nothing too crazy. Audio is odd, but not bad. I'm on my headphones right now, so if it's terrible, let me know, and we'll just scrap it, and I'll get to work. If it's tolerable, then we can press if you guys would like to. Not a whole lot of you here right now, but that's just fun. I'm glad you guys took the time to come check things out, see what I've got to babble about this evening. Not a whole lot. people, 3G, color SIHSP. If we have 4 people tonight, that's just fine. If we get more, well, cool. Try it without headphones. I could, especially if nobody's chatting. But then as I walk around the fishery, you guys probably wouldn't be able to hear me, which would be unfortunate for you guys, maybe, unless you guys just want to steer stuff. As asked if I had to stop building on the fishery. It's on pause. So it's been an extremely slow build to begin with, and I would say that right now it's just on pause. It didn't necessarily stop. I'll still keep building it slowly here and there as I have time. But you know, the nature of my job means that every now and then I have to disappear for a little bit. So things slow down a little. Not the end of the world. It happens. That's okay. Allows me to kind of feel things out, if you know what I mean. Let's see just how crazy and how much stuff I want to set up in here. Because, excuse me, actually originally had plans to add more tanks in here than I have now. And I think I'm actually going to turn it back and just kind of fish things up and make things look decent. And avoid getting into too much work. Alishan's here. Alishan, you might have missed it. I showed you guys some fish a while back that I told you that I was ordering. And here they are. I don't know if I can get them to focus on their Alishan, but I'll try. They don't have any color yet. They're actually kind of hard to see because of the lack of focus and the tanks are a mess. So pardon. But Alishan, these are the Pseudochronolabris dwarf species dark ventral. So a couple males in there. As you can see, they're still pretty small. They should be old enough to spawn here in the next few months. Blue gravel. So actually, these big old jungle valves, which I don't really like jungle valves myself, but I got them from a friend when I picked up these tanks. Those big old jungle valves were rooted in some blue gravel in his tanks. I just never got around to getting it all out. So one of these days I'll pick pieces out. Until then, so this tank's enough of a mess as it is. So it'll just stay messy for a little bit. There's water spots everywhere, but that's okay for now. I'm pretty excited about him, Alishan. I've got another video where you can see him better. I just have to get around to editing it and posting it. So I'll try to get that done shortly for you guys. They are really actually pretty badass fish. I can't wait to see them, really color up. I figure, the males do get fairly territorial as they age up and become sexually mature. But I think a 75 with this holy rock in there and some plants for a little bit of cover and vegetation should, give them enough room to spread out any aggression, give them some hiding spots. And of course, I put in some just little terracotta pots, kind of a standard go-to when I'm trying to breed anything, cave, rock, dweller type. So we'll see what they do. I'm not sure exactly how old they are. Right now, I'm just feeding them prepared foods because I will be gone for a while. So just getting them used to that versus the live foods. I don't need them to spawn while I'm gone. It'd be great. If not the end of the world. So just it'll be all prepared foods until I get back home. But it should grow out okay in here. And then once I get home, really hammer them with some water changes, keep the water clean, giving them some good foods. And I expect, shortly after I get back to start seeing some spawning action out of them. So that'll be fun. That'll be a good time, I think. Excited to get them to spawn. Excited to just share them around the hobby, really. I don't know of very many people that have them. So hopefully I have good luck with them and I'm able to kind of share the love a little bit. so some other people get to enjoy. And I'll do my best to do that, and hopefully it works out. And Alishan, if you're interested, kind of if when they spawn, let me know, and I'd have no problem sending some your way, unless it's kind of something that you're into a little bit. So I think I could do that, and we could work out a deal and get you set up. So if you're interested, if not, you're gonna hurt my feelings. I get it. There's only so much space. So Patty's here. What's up, Patty? Hope you're doing well. I've kind of talked to a couple of you a little bit in earlier streams throughout the day, and this will most likely be my last stream, give or take, maybe a couple, over the next couple days. We'll have to see for quite some time. So, Patty, get your fill of me while you can. I know you'll miss me, and I'll try to make up for it when I get home. Local shops bringing in the call sign. That's pretty sweet. I've had a hard time. I wanted the call sign for a long time. I had a hard time finding females. It's hard enough to find males by themselves, let alone females. So it's nice to see them. It seems like they're making a little bit of a resurgence in the hobby. So it'd be nice to see those come back. Hopefully get some people bring them. They're kind of in, I think populations are generally pretty low. So hopefully some people that know what's up can get them back in the hobby better. What's up, Rico? Good to see you too. I caught a little bit of your stuff earlier with Danny from Daniken. Always a pleasure. Thanks for stopping by. There probably won't be a whole lot to replay. This is kind of just, a little chatter here and there as I tear some of the stuff down in the fish room, actually, for the time being. Fish Streams asked if those are pistos. They are not. They're kind of, pseudochronolabris are almost the African version of an pisto, really. But this is a pseudochronolabris species. It's officially undescribed, but it's referred to as dwarf dark ventral. IJSP said, sorry to hear that. Is everything okay? Yeah, everything's doing great. Uh-oh, did I miss something? Look at StreamYard. It says, Terry, what's up, man?
Dude, why the hell are you thinking about quitting streaming?
No, it's not quitting streaming. It's just I won't necessarily have the internet quality over the next few months based on where I'll be to be able to stream. So work calls, sometimes it takes me to shitty places.
Well, I get that. I absolutely get that, but you scared the hell out of me because we need people like you.
Well, I appreciate that. That means a lot. So it's unfortunately, it's just been a busy summer for me, and in the past couple months, I've been a little bit busier with work, so I haven't been out a whole lot. But I've been working on, a list of topics, and I've been, you and I have talked about posting like edited streams from just our discussions that we've had.
Yeah.
So I've kind of been, I've been editing those, and I kind of got a bank of those so that even while I'm gone, I can upload some content.
Those will help you get established for sure. I already know you're an established fish keeper, and man, I don't want to see you go away. You kind of scared me.
How you been?
Oh, I'm doing great.
Let me shut this light off here. I don't know. So I've had these. It's a group of blue bolt Caridina shrimp, and it's been. Oops. I don't know if it's going to focus in StreamYard, but I've had these.
No, you're doing fine.
I had a group of 10 blue bolts that I picked up, and I've had them since I think March, and I had a couple that were buried and didn't get any juvies out of them, and I bet I've got 100 in this tank now. So like these little, unfortunately, it's not gonna focus any better, but this guy, there. Those are all about 1/4-inch juvies. So this is obviously one of the adults. I'm going back there. There's a real dark one way back there that you guys can't see. But I took some pictures. So if I don't know if you're terribly into shrimp, Terry, but I know we have some people that are into shrimp here.
Dude, you're not here to entertain me. You're here to entertain your audience.
Oh, I know, but you're chatting up here, so showing everybody. But yeah, like I said, it's a group of about. I started with a dozen. I think I maybe lost one of those blue bolts, and now 6 months later, I finally got about 100 juvies out of a couple females. So that's exciting stuff. Hopefully that keeps going, and when we get back in a while,
I'm sure it will.
I have a good population.
It looks like you're doing everything right. So
yeah, I mean, I don't know what took them so long. I didn't change anything. It's just, if you provide with most of the shrimp, you provide just stable conditions, even if they're
you gotta look at
ideal.
StreamYard. You have highlighted a
StreamYard
comment that's
get out of here.
Yeah, there you go.
Right.
You had that going for like a really long time.
Yeah. All right. Jesse's here. What's up, Jesse? How's it going, brother? Haven't seen Jesse in a long time. Jesse, get up here. Come on. I haven't talked to you in forever, bud.
I love the rainbows in his I don't know, avatar or emblem or whatever the hell you want to call it. But
yeah,
I love the rainbow fish.
Pretty sure those are Illuminatus, which are pretty sweet. I used to have a group. They're kind of slow spawners. I only got maybe an egg or two a day out of them. But they're super easy to spawn,
dude.
Jesse, what's up, man?
What's up? Hey, I was at the fish store today and I saw the nicest Botswani rainbow fish I've ever seen in my life.
Oh yeah,
they're like super like vibrant, colored up. And he told me, I was like, oh, these are super nice. How come? He goes, oh, they're from a special locale. It started with a T. I don't know what it was. I'm gonna try to research it, but
it started with a T.
Yeah, and he told me what it was. I can't.
Huh.
And I told him, oh, how much are they? He goes, oh, they're not for sale. Like,
yeah, these are mine. You can't have them.
Yeah,
it's like super nice though.
I mean, everybody has their price.
Yeah. Okay, and then he had this other rainbow fish. He says, okay, so these are brand new to the hobby. Like I just got them a few months ago, and he paid $300 for the pair. And he has so he was sitting on some fry. The fry were about an inch now, and I asked him how much those were. He goes, oh, I'm still thinking on the price. I'm waiting for them to color up before I sell them. But yeah, I paid $300, so I don't know. I mean, you're not gonna pay $300, but
right.
I'm still thinking about it. It's like, okay, that guy.
Dude, fish like that are crazy. And I was talking to somebody the other day about somebody's like holy crap, like this group of juvies or whatever are super expensive. I mean, it's obviously a nice fish, but like it's super expensive. I was like, yeah, but if you pay like those rainbows, if he paid $300 a pair, right? And if they're a full size rainbow, then he's gonna get 30 to 60 eggs a week out of them easy. Like they're gonna take a while to grow out, but I mean you're gonna get your money back the first spawn.
Right. Yeah.
So even if you charge $10 a piece, and I mean rainbows are a bad example just because they grow so slow and they are a pain in the ass to grow out until you can sell them.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at a lot of the guppies, like a nice strain of guppies is going to cost you, but I mean you'll make your money back right away. It's not.
Yeah. Guppies are easier to make your money back, but yeah, rainbow fish take so long. Yeah.
That's why
No.
I don't recommend rainbow fish for breeding for profit, because god damn, by the time you get them to a sellable size, you're already freaking $50 a fish in food.
Just in food. That doesn't count anything else, right? So yeah, they're I mean, I never suggest like anybody get in, like try to breed just for profit anyway.
Yeah, but then again, you know, if you're into rainbow fish and you want to have those babies, you don't really care if you're losing money.
Right. No, you don't keep rainbow fish because you're trying to make money.
You're just doing it because you love them.
Oh yeah, and I mean, that's, if you ask me, I mean, that should be the primary reason that you get into breeding anything. And then if you can make money off them, great. Like, I don't post breeding for profit videos because I think it's a poor practice.
That is really good advice.
What's that?
You gotta love what you're working with, and if you make money at it, that's just a bonus.
Oh yeah, I mean, if you make a buck, awesome. But don't like the breeding for profit videos are super popular on YouTube, but that's one video that I'll never make. Like, I mean, there are certain things that you can breed and make money on, but whenever people like post like, what can I breed to make money? I'm like, that can't be the reason you get into it. Like, you're just gonna get frustrated, and you're probably gonna lose money that way if that's your sole purpose for wanting to do that. That's my 2 cents anyway.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I don't breed anything that I'm not really into, but if it makes you money on top of that, then it's good.
Right. I mean, there's obviously stuff that you can make money on, but don't get into breeding just to try to make money. Like, if you want to make money,
you're gonna go broke real quick.
if you want to make money on fish, it's way easier to flip them than it is to try to breed them to sell anything.
Right. It's way easier to just import and sell than it is to breed and sell. You're gonna make way more money if you can just import and sell, and you only have the fish for a couple days, as opposed to having that fish for years and years and breeding it and growing out the fry and then finding a place where you can sell the fry. And
right.
Yeah. It's much easier just to flip.
It's a headache. Like I said, if you want to get into fish for the sake of making money, then just do the tax paperwork, set up, either if you have a nice basement and do it right, don't try to be cheap about it and just flip stuff. But it's way easier to flip it than it is to try to actually sell things, or to try to breed them to sell.
What about discus? Don't people make a lot of money off of those, breeding those?
You can.
Discus used to be, I feel like the popularity of discus has actually gone down lately.
The prices are still really high at the pet store, though.
The price of discus will remain high, but it depends on your local market. How popular discus are depends honestly on like your county.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It just depends on how saturated your market is.
I mean, I feel like, like 5-10 years ago, there were like, and I was never huge into the discus scene. I kind of like half-assed paid attention to it. But it seemed like 5-10 years ago, there like all these like new breakout strains like that were a big deal. Like all the designer strains are coming out. And now I feel like you just don't, maybe I don't pay attention to it, but I feel like you don't really see that like surge of interest and popularity. And
they're still out there. It just, again, when you're exactly right. When the newer designer ones hit the market, they were super popular. The people that want them bought it, and the market's saturated, and now the price goes down a little bit. But they're still very valuable fish. And
it's still a pretty niche market where even I think people are still afraid of discus, even though they've been domestically bred and bred in the States and fairly hard water that's far from what they used to be. I think people are still afraid of them quite a bit. So it's one of those things where it's super nice, and there's just a limited audience for it, you know?
Yeah, but it's changing, just like you said. It's changing. People are realizing that discus ain't quite as sensitive as everybody thinks.
Yeah.
At least with the domestic. You're right, with the domestic strains.
Yeah. And I mean, I say that about fish where you talk about like fish, like discus aren't as sensitive as people think. I think that's the case with most fish. You know, people are afraid about like everything's going to kill their fish. And I think people like fish aren't these super sensitive little, you know, babies that we make them out to be. Some obviously there's some that, you know, are just a pain in the butt. But I think they're a lot hardier in general than we try to make them out to be. What's up, Bob? I didn't see Bob sneak in here. Bob, Brian, only Oscars, Skull, talked to you earlier. But yeah, so let's talk about, you know, kind of the market and stuff like that, because it is super interesting, and like you said, it goes all the way down to like the county, and I'm glad you brought that up because I'm in the Midwest, and right now, so 10 years ago in the Midwest we have super hard water at like main lake Africans, like your peacocks and stuff, and fronts. They were huge. Like it was like you couldn't breed them or even ship them in fast enough to keep up with the demand. And I mean, even 5 years ago, you couldn't give them away. Like there's just no way. Like there's just interest dropped. Like you said, the market got saturated, I think, combined with kind of the economy being a little bit of a mix, where people didn't necessarily have the money for big fish rooms that, you know, some of these guys breeding the main lake Africans, they had, you know, they require pretty big setups. Like you can't get away with just a bunch of 10-gallon tanks down in your basement with those.
Yeah, right.
So it just didn't become very feasible. And now in the Midwest, like out here, Corys and Apistos are actually super popular right now. So, and you know, in 5 years, once everybody's sick of that, they'll probably switch back over to main lake Africans.
Absolutely. There is an absolute ebb and flow and how much money you're going to get for what you're breeding. And yeah, you said it fairly well, and that's what's going to happen. You know, if I seen it in angelfish because I bred a crap ton of angelfish, and there were stores that when I first contacted the store, they were like, "How many can you bring me?" I mean, they were honest to God. They were just hungry. How many can you bring me?
Right.
And then after like the second or third order, they're like, yeah, we can take 50.
Oh, really?
After that, they're like, yeah, we want 25 because the market got saturated.
Yeah.
It wasn't a quality issue. I mean, the store loved what I was giving them. It was just simply a demand issue. Once you saturate your market, you're done for at least a year.
Oh, yeah. And that's, you know, even on not necessarily just your market, like a national scale, look at, and I think it's a good example, is Hemicremis exul, the Turkana jewel cichlid.
Mm-hmm.
That thing, I mean, it's a jewel, so it's stupid easy to breed. But if you weren't one of the first people to breed it, you got stuck with a shitload of fry and nowhere to move them.
Yeah, nobody wanted it.
There were a few people, and I was one of them. That got into, they grabbed them early and started breeding them right away, and the market got saturated. And if you weren't in that initial wave, there's nothing left in it for you.
It will be later. It will be later.
Oh, like you know, ebbs and flows.
It'll be worth just as much as any other jewel cichlid. But
Yeah.
I mean, jewel cichlids are not free. I mean, it's still a really cool fish.
Oh yeah, and I'm not trying to discount. It's just saying like there was about maybe a 3-month window where you were going to make decent money breeding them.
Oh yeah, because it's new.
Yep. And they said if you weren't in that first rush of people breeding them, then it didn't matter. I mean, you could make maybe $1, but you weren't going to get the $10 price tag for juvies that, that some of us were.
Well, first of all, don't try to get rich breeding fish because it's not
right.
gonna happen.
It's never going to happen.
I don't care how many YouTube videos you watch, it ain't gonna happen.
Right. Estimated comment. What's up, Stephen? Estimated comment said Africans are holding strong in Cincy. I did notice that Ohio still has a pretty big, like you said, demand for
the Midwest in general for African cichlids is a high demand market because the Midwest has water perfect for African cichlids, and they are very popular across the Midwest in general.
Right. And I think one of the draws, other than water conditions, is in the last, I would say, 5 to 10 years roughly, there's been a push, like more hobbyists have been getting into breeding, so have been trying stuff, and a lot of the main lake Africans are pretty easy to spawn, so it's a good fish for people to kind of cut their teeth on a little bit.
Yeah, there's some validity to that for sure. The Ambuna, the Lake Malawi, Lake Tanganyika, and somewhat Lake Victorian has always been popular in the Midwest. You'll see more cichlid organizations in the Midwest than you'll see anywhere.
Right. The MCA, so the Midwest Cichlid Association, used to be huge, and it kind of, I want to say in like 2013-ish, it just fizzled out and did nothing.
Yeah, because there was so much more localized stuff that, if you get too big, you could collapse under your own weight, kind of thing.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
People were looking for like more localized kind of stuff.
Yeah. Jesse, are you still with us, or you fall asleep over there, bud?
I'm still here. I'm just trying to look for the location of this.
Those
money
rainbows
that I saw today.
Yeah. What's big in the market out there? Because you have very unique market out on the island.
Right now, pistols are pretty hot right now, and rams.
Okay.
Like those, I mean, the black rams are like someone's breeding them, and people they're actually pretty good prices, but they're in the market now for like $30 to $50 each.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's not cheap, but for one,
wow.
right? But they're selling out. Like people are buying it up. So that's good to hear. Even like at that price point, people are buying it.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So like to the extent that I bought a pair recently because I just set up some of my aquariums, and then I lost the female, and I waited, and I went back over the weekend, and they were all sold out. I was like, wow, how frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. And that's I think that's it's a different example than the hemichromosexual, but I think it's a good example where people like new stuff, right? So the dark knights and the black rams, and there are kind of 2 or 3 big variants of the dark blue rams there.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the expensive ones.
Yeah, but they're new. People hadn't seen them ever, and they got super popular. I mean, I think they're still pretty popular, but enough people have seen them now that you don't hear about them as often.
Right.
And I think they're still not popular as in common. Like you don't see them because the rates for actually throwing dark colored fry are kind of garbage.
That's true too. Yeah.
I haven't read them myself, but I think out of 100, you might get 3 or 4 that are black or dark even.
Oh no, more than that. It's 25% to 50%.
Oh, that high even?
Yeah, yeah.
I thought it was lower for some reason.
So you're getting those are what the ones that express the gene are what heteros, I guess, right?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Never
So
looked into it.
the rest of the ones you're producing are homozygous, which means they have the ability to produce it, but they're just
So some of them yes, and some of them no. So they'll throw out 3 variations. Some of them, so it's about a third, because you'll see 3. So you'll see the very dark blacks. You'll see almost a wild plain, blue ram, and then you'll see a gold. And so you'll see a variation of those 3. Now, so if you take the wild type, they won't throw any blacks. But if you take the gold, then they'll throw some blacks, and the blacks will throw blacks.
yeah. If you mix the one that's not expressing the gene, but it does have it in its background, and mix it with one that is expressing the gene, then you'll get more of your dark nights.
Yep. Some of the fish that over here that kind of ran its course already is guppies. So
Man, I hate talking genetics because I'm so afraid I'm gonna say something wrong, and then they'll be like, "Yeah, that's not the way it works."
But I mean, I'm not up on specific fish genetics. I have a pretty decent genetics background overall, so it's something that I'm really interested in talking about because that's something that I can learn about, and I think people are afraid to talk about it in general because, like you said, they don't want to say something wrong. But I wish people, and maybe there's just not the interest. I don't know. I wish people would talk about it more so we could discuss it more. Guppy Genetics, what's his name? Alan Bias, I think. The dude's written a shitload of papers just on Guppy Genetics, and Guppy Genetics get deep, man.
Don't even get me started.
That's
it's
just
fun.
Gets deep.
It's fun to play with, though. I mean, it's something you'll see immediate results. The turnaround is so quick where you actually get to see what you're doing.
Yeah.
So that's the fun part.
And I mean, I think Guppy Genetics it's something that anybody can mess around with and see, and they have such a short reproductive cycle, I guess, where you can see changes in a couple generations within a year. But it's also something that is so deep and so intense that the pointy hats, the guys that are like super nerdy about it, can get into the different genes that you can, like the subtle things that most people don't even see in a fish, and a lot of fish don't even express, but the gene is there for it, so they have fun talking about it.
Exactly. That's the thing that pisses me off the most about fish genetics is the fish can, we talk about genes. So this is how it's supposed to affect the fish. And the fish is like, yeah, I'm not going to express it.
Right.
And you're like, God damn it. Everything in your genetic code says you're supposed to look like this. And the fish is like, yeah, fuck you. I'm going to look something different.
Yeah.
Not going to happen.
It says it's a dominant gene. That means you're supposed to have it and show it. And no, not gonna.
And it just pisses you off.
I mean, Jesse, I know you've done a lot of work with guppies and stuff, so you probably get the guppy side of genes more than I do. So I mean, it was interesting to see the stuff that you were working with when I was able to go out and visit you. So
right, yeah. So one of my favorite guppies to work with is the magenta gene, because it is a dominant gene, and then you can kind of throw it at any other guppy and then get a magenta strain out of it. So recently I was working with someone else, and they crossed it with the Dumbos. So now there's a magenta Dumbo strain that looks pretty awesome.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Now the Dumbo seems like it's a pretty easy gene.
What the heck are you doing?
It's easy, but it's not 100%. It's on the mother side only, so she passes on the gene.
Okay.
And then not all the females actually carry it, so you kind of look for the females that have blacker fins, and then the ones with clear fins will probably have no fry with dumbo.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
So, Terry, is magenta or Dumbo, I guess, is either one of those something that you've worked with? I know you've done.
No, I don't work with any of those.
Okay. So what are some of the genes that I guess you have or you prefer to work with or most interested in?
See that. Okay. I have actually worked more with genetics and angelfish than guppies. If I see a trio of guppies for sale that I want, that I consider this is a really cool guppy, I just try not to fuck them up. I
You
don't
stick with
I don't try to
IFGA
change
strains,
them.
right?
I don't try to do anything. I just try to maintain them,
Right.
and that's hard enough.
You do mostly the IFGA stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of the way I try to work with things. If I get like an American blue or something that is IFGA qualified, I just try not to screw them up.
Yeah, I mean that's the goal with those legacy lines. That's the goal for them. I think with the Asian strains though, like it's
Yeah,
more
there's a lot
playful.
more freedom in the Asian
Right.
strains.
Yeah, it's different.
Absolutely,
It's a totally
you
different
can do all
market,
kinds
different
of stuff with
mentality.
them.
Yeah. Mhm. Like in the Asian strains, and like let's see how wild we can get, and see what crazy creations we can create. But then the IFGA is like, no, it's about standards. Let's
Yeah,
Right.
make the
and
tail
and,
look like
and
this,
exactly,
and
it's
be
a
perfect.
totally different. The two sides of that hobby are different, and I've always kind of stayed more with the IFGA. And if I buy a trio of guppies, my whole goal is to keep them the same.
Maintenance, yeah.
So
I don't
now,
want to fuck them up.
Because they're already perfect. Like
Yeah,
your
they're
bridle,
already
this one's
gorgeous. What else are you
exactly
gonna
what it
do to
should
them?
be already, right? Mhm.
so now with the Asian strains that you guys mentioned, you guys were saying how they get a little bit crazier. Do you see less stability in the phenotype, I guess, with those? Just because.
very
Oh,
much.
absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
100%. Yes, they fall apart like nothing.
Well, number one, they don't have a standard, they don't have a tank standard where you have to produce a tank with identical looking guppies. They don't have that.
Okay.
They just want to see an example of a cool looking fish.
Yeah.
Which you can do. You can just accidentally produce a really cool looking fish.
Yeah.
Right.
But is it
And-
reproducible?
Right, and that's the kicker.
Yeah, where the IFGA is more into being able to reproduce the example you're showing,
From the
where
parent.
the World Guppy Association doesn't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, not just from like an uppity, like purist standpoint, but I think that leads to generally healthier fish. You kind of care about them a little more. You want something to be reproducible. It probably has healthier bloodlines.
I don't know. Believe it or not, I think the World Guppy Association probably their fish are, because there's so many genetics all mixed up together, they're probably healthier. I don't know, but
Yeah, they're like mutts. Like mutt dogs are stronger than
they're not very
fish
inbred.
strains. Yeah, they're not.
Okay.
It might be the other way around.
I'm just wondering if maybe you do see better health in the more traditional lines versus the Asian stuff, just because the breeders might care a little bit more about their livestock. Sometimes their name is attached to it, or the group that they work with. So
It's hard to say. I would say like the imports are more diseased, right? So they're because they shoot with hormones and
Okay.
Antibiotics, right? So when they come
Okay.
here and you're not doing the same thing, then it's like, okay, well, we're not used to that. I'm gonna get it now.
Now, is that I see a lot of stuff on like Aquavid, like some pretty crazy strains from like ATFG out of Thailand, I think. Now is that one of the like a big group that produces some of those fish, or I mean, would you feel comfortable if you found some strain that they posted for sale, like, wow, that looks really cool, I'd like to try that? Is that like if you saw something like that, would you like, oh, I'm willing to import this to try it?
Yeah, yeah, no, totally. I mean, I have, right? So, I mean, and you knowingly take the risk of maybe they won't not gonna survive because they made that long trek and they're from Asia, not from here, and what they do there is very different from here, and so it's a lot riskier versus getting a IFGA strain from someone in the Americas that it's been here for a while.
Okay.
It's less riskier.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we like within my guppy club, we've done some imports from Asia, and then like everyone will just take home a few pairs and stuff like that, and they're not cheap. They're like 50, 40, 50, 60 bucks a pair.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then some people lose them all, and some people have them survive. Like, okay, give me your fry, and then we try to share with each other, right? So as long as someone succeeds, we all succeed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, actually, that reminds me. I saw a post the other day. Somebody was talking about the price of some guppies came up, and somebody made kind of a side comment about people think like some breed. They quoted guppy breeders think that their guppies are worth gold, and guppies should be cheap because they're so easy to breed. And I commented, I was like, well, like I could probably point you in the direction of a breeder that sells like quality guppies that half a dozen fry would probably cost more than like all the fish in your tank. And they said I didn't know what I was talking about and calling bullshit. And it's like, well, I can tell you have no idea what you're talking about then, because
right. Yeah.
You sound like it. Steve says, speaking of genetic diversity, I'm getting ready to order guppies from various FishFam members to add to my library mosh pit, hoping adding new bloods doesn't backfire on me. So that's one thing I've never done is the mutt guppy tank or the mosh pit, or just add a bunch of different flavors into one tank. Usually, even if I'm breeding a line or attempting to, even my culls, I don't mix my culls together myself. I either sell them as culls or I cull them. Simply put, I guess. So I can't really say a whole lot on that, Stephen. I know sometimes it can work in your favor, where you may add, some cool genes that just mesh really well with.
I think that's purely for enjoyment, just for the fun. It's not about sharing them with the world or anything. It's just like, let's see what happens if I put this thing in there and see what I get. And I have a mutt guppy tank right now, or a pond, and that I've kept from my old house, and that's one of the many things that I kept. My mutt guppies, and it's fun to play with just to see what comes out.
Yeah. Did you keep any of the strains that you had at your old place?
Yeah, so I kept my magenta, my dragons, and then my mutt guppies. As far as guppies go.
Yeah.
And I have some other fish, like I have my long-fin white clouds, both the regular color and the golds.
Okay.
I have some pygmy sunfish. Still have those. I lost my chanoides. I only have a male. So I don't know who I sent chanoides to, but if anybody out there has a female, I'm looking for one.
I feel like I mean, it's not a super common species, but I feel like you run across them every now and then. It's not like, I feel like some species you see and you're like, this is like a once a year type thing where one person happens to offer up a few of them and then you never see them again if you don't buy them.
Yeah. I'm actually thinking about converting my 75-gallon to saltwater.
I was looking at Mark's Aquatic posted a video of he's got that little saltwater set up with a clownfish in it. And I'm like, man, I should set up a saltwater tank again, just with softies or something simple in it.
I'll show you mine. I have a small one just like that too. Looks pretty cool. Here, this guy. There's there's all that pink stuff is bubble tip anemones, and there's a pair of clownfish in them swimming. They love it. And then I went torching the other day, and I caught some coral banded shrimp.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That's one thing that we don't get to do out here in the Midwest is just go catch saltwater stuff.
Yeah, next time if you're here, I'll take you. It's really close to my house.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Probably won't be for a little while now, but we might get out there eventually. Just trying to skim through chat, see if I missed anything. What you got in that tank there, Terry? I see Discus cruising around. But did we lose Terry?
I see his fish.
I see his fish. I don't hear him.
Does Terry breed discus? Maybe.
I'm honestly not sure.
I don't think he does. He's got a ram in there and some angelfish. Cool, sickly tank.
Yep. Give me 2 seconds. I can grab the charger from my phone quick. I'll be right back, guys.
Right. I recently went to the pet store and they had rice fish. And you know how like rice fish were kind of going on a craze for a while. And these rice fish were only like $2. I'm like, oh, what's going on here? They said, oh, these are junk because they have a lot of them have crooked spines. I was like, well, those are calls. Just pick the ones that don't have crooked spines and don't sell those or whatever. But anyway, I picked up a bunch and I told my friend, and then he decided to go there and wipe the whole thing out, and he bought the rest. And so he bought like 20 of them. But instead of charging him $2 per fish, they charged him $2 for one fish. So he got them for a steal. And I have them. They're like throwing out eggs. Like today, I pulled 4 females off carrying eggs, and I put them in a small container for them to let go their eggs, and I'll probably pull them out pretty soon. Snake skin this week. Okay.
Oh, all right, I'm back.
Ah,
Alshan, are private individuals allowed to collect in Hawaii? And they stopped commercial collecting a couple years ago. Yeah, yellow tank prices are pretty stupid right now, I think.
are private individuals allowed to collect in Hawaii? Okay. I think maybe not, but not like I care. I went the other night.
Right?
Yeah. Well, so I know I've seen things on the news where people get caught full of a cooler full of yellow tangs on a boat, and they were fined, a lot of money.
Yeah.
But I'm not out for yellow tangs, so maybe I'm safe if I'm just catching
Right.
weird things. Yeah.
That's what
I should check up on the law. I'm not sure.
That's one thing I think it's nice to see. Unfortunately, it took, cracking down on collecting to make it happen, but it is nice to see a lot more commercial breeding outside of just like clownfish and cardinals in saltwater.
Oh, in the saltwater hobby, the production of captive bred fish is huge. And there are people that are spending a crap ton of money on figuring out how to do it.
Oh yeah, which I think it's super awesome. Like as a guy that enjoys breeding myself, I think it's super awesome. Like I said, I wish it didn't take, banning wild collecting to kind of push for that. But
I will say, when I was young, I saw a ton of yellow tangs all over the place, and now I don't. So
oh really?
the fact that they were exporting them for sale out of Hawaii, it has definitely taken a huge effect. And
Yeah.
I am glad that they're cracking down on that. I mean,
No, it's
don't
definitely a
bust
good
me
thing.
if I take a couple, but not. Like, they should just set a catch limit, maybe. You know?
Oh yeah, I mean, like the commercial collection's a lot different than a guy going out and catching one for his tank or whatever.
Yeah. And I think they kind of make it unfair where they only allow commercial fishing, right? So you need a commercial license in order to legally take these fish. But like,
Yeah,
they're the problem, like.
right. It's not even if there's 200 locals going out and catching one or two a year, it's not putting a dent in anything compared to these commercial guys that are catching that in a day.
Exactly. Yeah. And then now they outlaw the use of hand nets. Come on. They're not using hand nets. They're freaking using something else. Where, like,
right.
I don't know. It's not right what they're
law. Using
that's why I don't respect that. I'm like, whatever. I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah. Unfortunately, you're just too small to do anything. Yeah, it sucks. It's nice to see. It's been interesting to see them slowly breed more and more saltwater fish. I remember like pajama cardinals and basic like ocularis or percular clowns were the only thing anybody was breeding, and that was.
Now the private hobbyists can do, the pajama clowns and whereas before you had to be a scientific research facility to try to figure it out.
Yeah, and I mean I've bred, so I bred ocularis, and it's just a headache. I mean, it's cool to say I did it, but it's a headache. If you
you did? Did you use like rotifers?
Yeah. So I had.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I had so many cultures of food set up because you had to have Fido to feed the rotifers, and you had to have rotifers to feed the juvies, and then the juvies moved up from rotifers to brine. And I said it was cool to say that if you dedicated, like if your hobby was solely breeding clownfish, and I know people that did that, it would be fine. But I mean, just as like, it was cool to say I did it one time, and I would never do it again.
I just want to do it once too.
Yeah.
Just for the knowledge and say that I've done it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely an interesting experience. Bob said his tomato clowns spawn every couple weeks. Yeah. But getting them to spawn is the easy part. Raise and fry is a headache.
Right, exactly.
That's
what do you do? Do you pull the eggs?
Yeah. So what I did, I had I'd let them hatch out, and the night they hatch, they'll be orange when they spawn, and they like silver up when they get ready to hatch. And I'd sit up late at night, wait for them to hatch, watch them, and then I'd just shine a light. Oh, sorry guys. I'd shine a light, and they're photophobic, whatever. I don't know. They like light.
They like light.
So they'll just swim up, like if you have a torch or whatever, they'll just swim up to the torch, and then you just net them out with like a brine shrimp net. And then you move them to a container and you feed them like 3 times a day, which means you have to do water changes like 3 times a day to suck out all the food before the water fouls up.
That's not fun on the saltwater. a lot of work.
No, it's a lot of work. And then, like I said, you have to have cultures of phyto set up to feed your cultures of rotifers, and then it's. I mean, like I said, it's doable. It's a lot of work, but it's
super
doable.
hard to get here. We don't have like I would have to import those things.
Oh, really?
It's pretty impossible for me, unless I could. I mean, I work for UH, unless I have a contact there that can get me those things, which I don't have.
Yeah. I mean, I've read peppermint shrimp too. I did that once. That's also another headache because they've got like a larval type stage.
Free swimming, like pelagic.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that's a headache.
That's hard.
It's just, I mean, it's cool. It's just a pain to deal with. And then, so going back to clowns, like you have to have, I think it was the clowns. You have to have a separate container for each batch of clowns because they'll just feed on each. They'll literally just feed each other. So it's like a lot of saltwater stuff. The breeding, since a lot of saltwater fish have like that larval stage, I guess you have to separate a lot of stuff out. That means you need a bunch of tanks running. And it's resource intensive. It takes up a lot of space. And at the end of the day, like I had a guy that a friend in Iowa, and like his goal was just to breed, and he had a few different flavors he was breeding, and he took them to the store, and the store's like, I can get these way cheaper from my supplier, and he wasn't even interested. He's like, I'll give you, $1 for them or something, and he was marketing them at $20, just because he could get them easier from his supplier, like the distributor. But
it would be cool if you could breed those Stiphodon gobies. I heard they have like a saltwater period, right? Like I think the eggs wash out to sea.
Yeah, most of the
larval, right?
Most of the gobies, most of the freshwater gobies need like at least brackish to be able to raise any fry up. There are a couple exceptions, like the Zui or whatever they were that you were looking for. I know those can be full fresh. They're very seasonal though. Like they only spawn in the winter up here at least. I don't know if it has to do with the temperatures or pressures or what.
Yeah, I seen Alex. He said his was spawning, his Stiphodons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're like, I don't know, like nearite snails. There's a lot of freshwater stuff that's super cool that you can only breed if you set up at least brackish, if not full salt. Like nearite snails, everybody's like, oh, my nearite snails laid eggs. How do I hatch them out? Well, if you want the honest answer, it's going to be a while.
So are you saying if you keep them in a brackish setup, you think they might be able to complete their life cycle just brackish without transitioning them?
I think they could. I don't know for sure, or I don't know if they would, because a lot of those gobies, what they do is they swim upstream into like a waterfall area and spawn, and then when they hatch out, they get washed out down into like the brackish deltas and stuff. I'm sure somebody here could. I've never spawned them. I'm just trying to go based off of memory here, but I think that's generally how their reproductive cycle usually goes.
That would be the easiest way if you just straight to a brackish type and just have parents in there and let them spawn.
Yeah, if you could make that happen, that'd be sweet.
But
I know
I'm trying some Narek snails in a brackish tank right now for years, and no, nothing. I see eggs, but never any babies.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never talked to anybody personally that's actually raised Narek snails. The whole brackish thing kind of makes me wonder, because like Kenny has those anableps, those little mud skippers or whatever they are, in a brackish setup. I don't know what their reproductive cycle looks like at all. I don't know if they spawn in brackish or if he's able to spawn them, and because that would be a cool fish to spawn, I think. Like if you raised up those things, but
Hey, Mike, I gotta go. I just got called for dinner.
All right, Jesse. We'll see you later, man. Thanks for stopping in. It's nice chatting.
Yeah. Thanks. All right. See you later. Bye.
Yep. Oh, and then there was me.
Nah, there was 2.
Oh, you're back. Welcome back. You ran off for a little while. What's in that tank other than discus? What you got? Looks like some
Rams, Angels, a ghost knife, and a royal pleco.
What kind of knife fish is in there?
A ghost knife.
Okay. I actually had a friend that went fishing down in Florida, and he caught a clown knife in like a ditch.
I believe that a clown knife is a predator. That gets fairly large. So
this was like 2.5 feet.
Yeah, they get pretty damn big.
Yeah, he sent it to me asking me what it was because he didn't have no idea what it was. I was like, yeah, that's interesting. You don't see that happen very often. Not impossible, obviously, just not something that you see every day, and probably not a fish that very many people would recognize if they just happened to catch it while they were fishing in the ditch.
There was a point in my fish keeping career where I was into big fish, and yeah, I had a clown knife.
Did you?
Yes. It was a mistake. It was a mistake. If you're a home hobbyist, don't keep these fish. They just get too incredibly large that you can't keep them. Just don't even try.
I've seen some fish and like, wow, that's a cool fish. It's just gigantic. It's not something that I would ever want to keep. I just don't have an interest in it.
I went through a stage where I had the red tail catfish, I had the tiger shovel nose, I had the clown knife, I had them all. The arowanas, and yeah, just don't do it. Number one, they're gonna eat you out of house and home. And number 2, if you keep them healthy, they just get way too big.
Right.
Don't do it. I'm telling you, I've been down that road already. Just don't do it.
But Terry, I'm gonna build a pond for them.
Yeah, that's
for when they get
say,
bigger. I'm gonna build a pond, Terry. Everybody that they get their red tail catfish, their shovel nose, or their arrow, like, oh, I'm gonna build a pond for them. Yeah, that never happens.
You know what? When I went through the big fish stage, that wasn't even a consideration. They were like, yeah, whatever. They didn't even care. They didn't even ask. How big's your tank?
Right. That's funny. Those people. I used to almost get worked up about it. And I'm like, you know what? Whatever. They obviously know that it's going to be a problem, and I'd venture to say that 90% of them that say they're going to build a pond understand that they'll never actually build a pond, and then they just end up giving it away.
I don't stress about it either way. I can say I can give my advice, and my advice is stay the fuck away from fish that get really big. You can take that advice or not, and I don't, because another guy is making the exact same mistakes I've made. I cannot bash that guy. You know what I mean? He's making the exact same mistakes I made. And granted, I can offer and say, look, I've been down this road. You probably don't want to go there. But if he does, who the fuck am I to say, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you.
He's going to have to learn the same lessons the hard way that I did. So, you know, I don't harp on people for making the exact same mistakes I did. You know, I can be pretty hypocritical, and I don't like to be. So,
Yeah.
you know, if I went down that road and it taught me a hard lesson to not do it again,
Yeah.
then maybe the next fish keeper needs to go down that road too, so he learns not to do it again.
Right.
So I can't fault the guy for doing it. So
Somewhat unrelated, but I saw a post earlier on Facebook, and you know, blessing and a curse. Most of the time, it's just a curse. But the guy posted, and he said he had bought what looked like a knockoff, like decently large size air pump. It was like 30. He posted the link on Amazon. It was like $33. I was like, well, this lasted 90 days. I contacted Amazon. They told me to talk to the seller. Seller didn't answer me. Blah 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 blah. And I was like, well, what did you expect for a pump that size? I mean, I don't know. It looks similar to. It wasn't a linear piston, but it's a decent sized diaphragm type pump.
right, the high pressure diaphragm pumps, dude. I've been down that road as well. I don't recommend it.
No,
I
but
have told people to just get a linear piston pump. We've learned over the years that a linear piston pump is the way to go.
right,
They're quiet and they last forever.
right. Yeah,
But
anyway,
but they're kind of pricey. I get
They
it.
can be.
They can be pricey.
Yeah.
And
But anyway,
so I get it. So people will buy the diaphragm pumps and the high pressure diaphragm pumps, and maybe you should take the advice of people that have been down that road already. You
Right.
have no idea how many diaphragm pumps I've thrown away.
Oh, I played the same game, and that was kind of where I was going. Is the guy had posted that he bought this $30 pump, and he was trying to run like 10 tanks off it, and it lasted like 90 days, right? And he was all upset about it. I was like, well, what did you expect for a $30 pump that claims to run
Right.
that many tanks?
Exactly.
One person's suggestion in the thread, they said, well, if Amazon won't work with you and you can't get the seller to work with you, they said, just buy a new pump, put the broken one in the box, and return it, which is one, sleazy, but two, if the first pump lasted 3 months and then turned into a headache,
all you're getting is another 90-day pump.
right? Why would you want to deal with the same headache? And like like you said, I've been there. I've played the well. Let's try to be cheap with the air pumps thing, and guess what? It just cost me more money. Like if I would have just bought a nice pump from day one, I'd be way further ahead.
Yeah, I 100% agree, because we're saying the same thing. I've been down that road. Blowers are great, except they're noisy as all get out. So, like, unless you're gonna core drill a hole through your house to keep the blower motor outside,
Right.
Blower motors really do work good. They produce a lot of air, but they're extreme. It's a vacuum in your house running 24/7.
Yeah. And
So,
I'm not super read up on blowers. Are they, energy wise, I guess, are they more or less efficient than like a linear piston, or?
actually a little less, but not extremely less. They're relatively efficient. It's like, honest to God, it's like running a vacuum 24/7.
Somebody asked, Bunny Viper asked, how big clown knives get. I'm pretty sure they get at least 3 feet, if not bigger.
Yeah, I think they get bigger.
I wouldn't be surprised if they got bigger than that.
Well, first of all, there's a couple different kinds. So, Yeah, but yeah, they get huge.
Not a fish to keep in a tank, and if you'll get, I'm not going to say his name, but there was an unfortunately popular YouTuber that had arrows in his indoor pond, and even with his chintzy, cheap ass plastic lids he put on there, they knocked the lid off and jumped out of the pond.
Yeah.
Which
You have no idea how many silver arowanas and a few blacks that I have killed due to that exact thing.
it's a big, powerful fish.
They're
so.
gonna wind up on your floor. I give a shit how much you try to prevent it. They'll wind up on your floor eventually.
So, I mean, I think that it's more of a testament to said YouTuber's intelligence level than anything else. But just something that everybody else maybe could learn from.
But again, like I said, I've made a crap ton of mistakes in this hobby. I've been keeping fish since 1974.
God, you're old, Terry.
Yeah, I am. I am super old, and I've done a lot of stupid shit over the years. And I try to explain to people that, yeah, you know what? I've been down that road. You don't want to go down there, but they don't want to listen, and they'll go down there anyways.
Oh yeah.
But it's okay because, you know, I came back. I came back out of those rabbit holes I've been down, and turned out to be a pretty good fish keeper.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes you just gotta make mistakes on your own and go, yeah, all right, okay, they were right, and maybe I shouldn't have done that.
Right.
You know,
And going back to the air pump thing and trying to buy cheap equipment and having to buy different stuff later.
oh, absolutely, man.
So
Just buy the good shit right off the
I-
bat.
Yeah, I tried to play that game. I've got a couple Jeeps, and the one that I've actually built up over the course of many years. I tried to play that game with where I tried to do it the cheap way first, and then down the road I ended up just having to put even more money into it. And some of the best,
exactly. You wind up money in the hole, whereas if you would have just bought the more expensive one to start with.
And so some of the best advice that I've ever heard was actually from a Jeep guy when we were talking about it. And so broke people can't afford to be cheap, right? So if you don't have the money now, it's just going to cost you more money in the long run. So if you're just patient and wait and you save your pennies, it's going to yield dividends in the long run, right? I mean, like you said, it sucks to spend a little money now only to have to spend more money later, because instead of buying a $60 pump, if instead you bought a $35 pump, well, that's going to last you maybe 6 months, and then you're going to have to buy a $60 pump later. So now you're just out $35 extra. So
the pump I'm running right now costs me, I don't know, about $250.
Yeah, I've got a Gemco.
And you can't hear it.
No, I've got a Gemco 45 in my room right now, and I think you can get them from Gemco brand new right now for $200. I got mine for free because I bought a whole fish room and sold off the extra stuff I didn't want and made my money back. But if it wasn't for not having air stones and a bunch of my sponge filters, you wouldn't even know there was air running in here.
Yeah, exactly. Except for all you hear is the bubbles popping. You don't hear.
Yeah, you don't hear the pump. In fact, the exhaust. I've got like a relief valve. The exhaust is louder than the pump itself.
Right. I've got the 80. I've got the Gemco 80.
Okay.
And man, I love it to death. It runs everything, and it's super quiet. And all I got to do is every once in a while clean out the intake filter.
Yep. And that's I think once I get this thing a little more buttoned up and official looking, I'm going to jump up to the 80. The 45 is sufficient for right now, but I also am not actually running everything in the room will eventually be running. So the 80 is definitely in my future. My buddy's got there's one in between the 45 and the 80, right? Is it like a 60?
Yeah, probably. I'm sure there is.
My buddy runs the 60 on a similarly sized room.
I think Peplin Creek might be running the same pump I am.
Yeah, he's got the 82. Alex said Greg Sage runs a blower, it sounds like, and it's a little loud. Yeah,
they are. We talked about this earlier. Look, a blower is more efficient, but it is so incredibly loud that you don't want it in your house.
I could see that. So, I mean, I don't know at what point, if you had like a warehouse or something, where you like Dan's Fish and you're building something completely separate from your house and you don't have to listen to it all the time, or you have a shed or something that you can put it in and plumb it into the building.
You can drill a hole and put it outside, and so you don't have to listen to it inside the building, then by all means, get a blower.
Right. And I think that would be fine, but probably a little much for most. Definitely the hobbyist level, I think. But to each his own.
I had a blower, and my old fish room ran on a blower, and it produced exactly the amount of same air as my linear piston pump does now.
Okay.
Except the linear piston pump is super goddamn quiet. It takes up a shit ton of less room, and I didn't have to put a hole in my house to put it outside.
Oh man. Contail said he got a cheap pump. Boy, Slouch, sometimes more expensive a thing. If the thing less price means less damping, etc. More noise, definitely. You get what you pay for, and I've been on both sides of it, and I'm not even on the other side where money's not an issue. But I've definitely
money's always an issue.
I've definitely been on the side where I'm pinching pennies to try to.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, no problem. I've been on the side to pinch pennies to try to get the things I wanted or cheaped out. It sucks. It can be a struggle. Sometimes it can be a little bit discouraging. But in the end, it definitely works out. Sometimes buying maybe, not necessarily the cheapest equipment, but mid-range equipment as a means to an end to get you by, that can work out. I'm not saying not everybody has to go out and buy the nicest thing on the market, right? If you're just running, middle of the road, a few fish tanks or something, you don't need top of the line stuff. And most hobbyists don't need top of the line stuff. Even in salt equipment gets stupid expensive. But middle of the road stuff works just fine for most people. I'd call Gemco probably a middle of the road pump. There's definitely nicer options out there, but Gemco for most people works just fine. However, you may, if you're setting up an operation, right? This is going to sound like it's contradictory to what I said earlier, but sometimes you may get a not necessarily the cheap option, but a slightly cheaper option than maybe what you'll end up with. So if you set up tanks, you're like, hey, I started breeding guppies out of one tank, and I found out that I can make some money on guppies. Well, I can't afford a really nice pump right now, but maybe if I get a middle of the road pump, and then I can sell some of these guppies to get that nice pump down the road. And then I think you have a middle of the road pump as a backup, or resale value. I think that's kind of part of it. Fish equipment doesn't hold its value for crap, but cheapy.
You do know that you just described my entire fish keeping career in pumps and shit like that, and I'm fairly certain the reason you said it is because you've went down that road as well.
Oh yeah, 100%.
When you first start out, you know, you've got whatever fish it is, and then you start breeding it, and you start adding more tanks, and you come up with this idea that, oh my God, I'm the smartest fucking guy on the planet. If I breed these fish, I can sell them. And you think you're going to make a profit, and you know, but you don't want to buy the most expensive air pump out there, so you buy that diaphragm pump that is going to run minimally the tanks you got. And then you realize, well, that pump ain't strong enough, and so then you go with this other diaphragm pump, but it's bigger. And yeah, you know, you're better off just listening to us. You know, those of us that have been down that road, you're way better off just listening to us, because we've already bought all those pumps and we found out they suck.
Right. And I tell a lot of planted people this, and I mean, it can apply to, you know, almost any aspect of the hobby, is find somebody that makes, so like with planted tanks, find somebody that makes planted tanks that you like, right? Figure out what equipment they use, figure out what their nutrient regime is or whatever, and replicate it. Like
Exactly.
if you take the time and effort to develop the knowledge and skill set, if you use similar equipment to what they use, you'll be successful 90% of the time. If cheap equipment worked as well, they'd use it. I mean, yeah, some of them, like Real Big Danger sponsored, whatever, they don't count. But for the most part, you can find somebody that does nice things.
The problem is YouTube is flooded with new fish keepers, and they'll look at a diaphragm pump and say, "Oh, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread."
Oh,
Except you don't see that same YouTuber 6 months later when that doggone thing needs to be rebuilt, and they're nowhere to be found. But the poor new fish keeper is like, well, yeah, these things are perfectly good.
Yeah.
Except they're not. And you get flooded with all this misinformation that's going to hurt you in the long run.
Oh yeah, and you see that a lot.
It's not it's not the new person's fault. It's
No.
the fault of these people that said, "Oh, this is the greatest pump ever. This diaphragm pump will, you know, does all the blah blah blah. It's the greatest thing since sliced bread." Except you don't see the 6 months later when that damn diaphragm pump is starting to lose its seal.
Yeah.
And it's just not working right. They don't post those videos.
Oh no. And you know,
I really wish they would, but they don't.
Yeah, you see, you know, it's super popular to make these, like an unboxing video or a product review video where they use it for a week and like, this is the best heater I've ever used.
Yeah, well, that's the thing that gets me is when they do the unboxing review and say how good it is, and they ain't even used it a day yet, and they're giving you how good it is. Yeah, I want to see how well it works after a year.
Right. Yeah, and a lot of the, you know, the problems with that is, as you don't necessarily need to be, and I'm not saying I'm any of these, but you don't necessarily need to be intelligent or have good methods or methodology behind what you're doing to get popular on YouTube, right? So a lot of these people
I'm gonna absolutely agree with you there, because I'm a prime example.
But you see a lot of people either just getting started on YouTube, trying to do these product reviews to get views, or they've been on YouTube, they gain popularity, and there's companies out there that are fairly new trying to make it on the market. So they're offering up their products for free in exchange for like a YouTube video. It's like, oh, this, I won't mention any names. There's a handful of them out there, but I won't mention names. This such and such Chinese brand pump is super awesome. Let me unbox it and show you how well it works. And then, like you said, you don't see the 6 months return to it. You don't see a year. You don't hear about it when it breaks or quits working. But because it's so easy for content creators to get free equipment these days by doing videos and basically free advertisement for these companies, you get a lot of positive reviews or positive videos about, I'm going to be frank, shitty products. Most of the products.
There's plenty of them. There's plenty of them out there. Amazon is filled with them.
Oh, any name of Chinese sounding brand that you can't pronounce, and they're probably a culprit. But I'll be honest, and I watched Bentley's video about CChem, the Flourish products earlier, and it made me laugh. Like, honestly, in our hobby, 95% of the products available, whether it's equipment or like additives, are garbage.
Chemicals.
Absolute garbage. It's all garbage. Our hobby is full of trash.
The magic fix in a bottle.
Our whole hobby is full of trash products, but people keep buying into it, and it's counterproductive to the success of the hobby.
It's great marketing. What killed the undergravel filter was marketing for the new hang on the back filters. The hang on the back filter industry killed the undergravel filter.
I can see that.
Honestly, that's what, because the companies knew, hey man, we can put all these filter cartridges on it, and we can do all this, and it's easy maintenance, and
but it's easy money for whoever's producing. It's like, you need to change this. There's going to be 4 different cartridges in this tiny little hang on back filter, and you need to change one of them every week. Oh, and we're going to charge you $15 for a pack of 3 refills.
Right.
So guess what? We just set the hook, and we're gonna make continuous income.
Back in the day, we just had a piece of plastic that went underneath our gravel, and it took care of everything.
Oh yeah, and I have no qualms with undergravel filters at all. Outside of it's a pain to run a planted tank with it. I've done it. I do think that if you want to run an undergravel filter, they are best run in a reverse flow setup powered by an air pump.
I absolutely agree. If you're gonna run sort of a high tech planted tank, run it in reverse, where you put the power heads on the uplift tubes and put it in reverse. I agree, 100%. That way, all the flotsam, everything stays at the top, and you can,
reverse flow. Like you said, a power head with something as simple as like a sponge type pre-filter to save yourself a headache and the buildup of a bunch of mold and crap underneath, and you're in business. I think it's an excellent filter setup. It's cheap, and there's no recurring costs like the hang on back marketing tries to hook you into.
But see, that's just it. The marketing in this hobby, it's really easy if you're new to this hobby to just buy into the marketing.
No, that's this hobby. In this hobby, marketing is everything, and it sucks.
Yeah, I think that's a legit statement.
Look at if you want to look at planted tanks, look at ADA. They make nice things.
See, here's the thing. Here's the thing that gets me. And who is that? Crown Tail Half Moon is saying it. All right. We came through a marketing campaign that said undergravel filters were bad, but yet they didn't attack sponge filters. So sponge filters are okay. They do the exact same fucking thing.
Right.
So why are sponge filters good, but undergravels are bad?
Oh yeah.
They do the exact same fucking thing the exact same way.
100%, no question.
So
I think
I don't know. It doesn't. I'm pissed off because I really wish it wouldn't cost me a crap ton of money to buy an undergravel filter. But to buy an undergravel filter today, it's going to cost you a shit ton of money. Whereas there's a crap ton of sponge filters out there that they all run right around the same price. They're cheap.
yeah.
But they do the exact same thing as undergravel filters did.
Yeah. It's all about the newest cool technology, man. Bob made a pretty good comment. The newbies think a year or two and they're pro. You're never a pro. Things change constantly. Listen to all these old heads like Bob and Terry and Dan, and that you're always learning. And what sucks is, and he made another comment. These people get on streams or make videos, and if you, it sucks. But if you make enough videos, no matter how bad they are, or no matter how bad your advice is, eventually you're going to get the views, and eventually people are going to think that you're knowledgeable just because you have a viewer base, even though you're spreading crap misinformation, using crap products and saying that they're good.
People kind of yell at me all the time because I'm kind of hard on myself, or they say I put myself down. Every time somebody wants to interview me or ask me questions or whatever, I give the disclaimer. I'm nobody special. I've just been doing this a long time. I started keeping fish in 1974. I'm not special. That I don't know everything. I just know what has worked for me over the years, and
Right.
when I mean years, I mean decades. I've
Yeah.
seen decades of this hobby change, and it kind of pisses me off when the anti undergravel filter campaign started. It pissed me off. I was really angry, except we didn't have YouTube. We didn't even have at that particular time. We didn't even have Facebook.
It was like forums probably weren't even around yet.
Well, we did have forums.
Okay.
And there was a lot of heated debates going on about the effectiveness of an undergravel filter. And the general consensus was a freaking undergravel filter works. That was what our general consensus was.
Oh yeah. Surprise, surprise. Except
the popular marketing at the time, if you go back into, I think it was right around the 90s, all these hang on the backs were like, oh, we can kick a undergravel filter's ass. And an undergravel filter is just a nitrate factory. Every goddamn filter is a nitrate factory, people.
What do you think his job is? You know what's funny about
exactly what it's supposed to do.
And you know what's funny about that is people are super hip on canister filters. The canisters are effective. They're a headache, to be honest. But you want to talk about a nitrate factory, like just because since they are a headache to clean and maintain, they get so much crap that builds up into them, and then you end up with more and more. Guess what? Nitrates. Why do you think saltwater people hate canister filters?
Because you got to clean them all the time.
Or you get a ton of nitrates, and it's all the time.
Any goddamn aquarium filter is a nitrite or nitrate factory. I mean,
Right.
that's what they do.
Yeah, that's why when people say that, it kind of makes me laugh.
If it's creating nitrates, it's working.
Crown Tail asked what my opinion is on K2 type series mediums. I've looked into them some. I don't know about K2. I know like K1, whatever, the little
that's carbon, right? Or am I wrong?
I don't know. I'm thinking of the fluidized bed filters. They use those plastic rings with like the star shape in the middle.
Okay.
I've never run one. As far as biological filtration, I guess if you take care of it, it's probably effective. It's a highly oxygenated environment and a decent amount of surface area. The problem is it takes up a lot of space, I think. So cost versus reward with a fluidized bed filter, I don't know. I personally wouldn't run one, I guess.
I don't have a. I think I got like 3 different types of media going through my head when we say this. So I need to know exactly what we're talking about.
Right.
So I don't have a comment.
When I think of it, I'm thinking of like a fluidized bed filter, those plastic rings or whatever you want to put in them.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is old school technology.
Well, all of it's old school. Every goddamn thing in this hobby is old school technology. We haven't invented anything new in the last fucking 10 decades.
We like to try to dress things up and make it look new, though, and claim that it does cool.
Exactly. Yeah, a fluidized bed filter with a bunch of plastic rings is not new. So it's all marketing, people. It's what it is. It's all marketing.
Yeah. Asked how many different species of nitrifying bacteria there are. So the nitrification process is actually carried out by several different types of nitrifying bacteria. And then furthermore, there's several different species of each type of bacteria. So to be honest, to honestly answer that question, I don't have a number for you, sorry. But it's likely far more than most people imagine.
Yeah, you need to talk to a guy like Dr. Tim with a question like that.
That's a good question, and I'm glad that you're curious to know that. And I'm not saying that I don't care about it. What I am saying, it doesn't
matter. All you need to know is that there's bacteria that does certain things. There's bacteria that takes care of ammonia. There's bacteria that takes care of nitrite, and there's those particular bacteria create nitrogen, and that's all you need to know. You don't need to know what particular species you got.
Right. And so you for most people, and obviously there's a few outliers that have unlimited brain power, but for most people, think about it like you have an iceberg, right? Your brain's an iceberg. You can only fit so many penguins on that iceberg. Unless you have a gigantic glacier of an iceberg, you probably don't need to waste some of that square footage with a penguin about what species of bacteria is in your filter. I mean, like I said, kudos for being curious. And if you know, let me know so that if anybody ever asks me, I can like.
Dr. Tim will be able to get into that conversation and tell them exactly. Well, it's a nitrosoma, blah blah blah.
Right.
I can get you down to the genus, but I'm not gonna get you down to the species.
Right. That's like somebody brought up a similar question in a group the other day. I was like, you don't need to know that to be successful. Like,
Exactly.
you are, and I'm not saying you're wasting, but you're expending energy and brain resources on something that really is irrelevant in your success.
Well, it depends on where you're at in the hobby because I don't know. Just last night, I was kind of on a subject, and people in chat we were all talking about it, and the very first thing I said is, yeah, to be a successful fish keeper, you really don't need to know any of this.
And I mean, be educated, and there's certain people, like you said, like Dr. Tim, or depending on the subject, that know those things, and they are successful at what they do because they know those things. However, for 95% of hobbyists,
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, you do not need to know exactly the species of the nitrosomas that are in charge of your biological filtration.
right.
You don't need to know the exact species.
No. And as said,
No, go ahead.
as said, it's fascinating that it just starts happening right when you cycle a tank. But think, like, these bacteria are just free. They can be airborne. They're free floating. They're on your hands. They're just all over the place.
It's part of life.
Magically pop up.
All right. Anyways, I gotta get out of here, dude.
All right. Thanks for stopping by, Terry. It was some good chat.
You do know I love you to death, and we should do more shows together.
I appreciate it gladly.
We're kind of like-minded.
I think so. We're about 40 years apart. Just kidding. But we are quite like-minded. I don't have anything going on tomorrow. If you're free, we can bullshit for a while.
No. Tomorrow's absolutely out of the question. I'm starting a new job tomorrow, so. All
right, well, you pick a day and we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll come up with a day. We'll come up with a show, and we'll make it a little bit funny, but every show we're gonna have to geek out about something.
Oh yeah, and maybe we geek out about the exact nitrification process, not necessarily the species, but maybe we go through a little bit about that and the actual some of the chemistry behind it. I think it's far more important to understand the basic chemistry behind it than to know the species. And
exactly, that's that's the whole point of it. Yeah, all you need to know is how the process happens. You don't need to know whether the guy's using a Red Wing hammer or a Stanley hammer. You don't need to know which hammer he's using. All you need to know is he's using a hammer.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, there's so many damn things we can talk about in this hobby that get so overdone. And one of them is the nitrogen cycle. Look, it's pretty simple. Ammonia, nitrite, nitrate. That's all you need to know.
Right.
All the rest of it, and as complicated as you want to make it, is as complicated as your particular person want to make it.
Right.
If you want to make it extremely complicated, you can. But the process doesn't change.
Right. Patty asked if you have your Red Wings.
I don't wear Red Wings.
Oh no, this is good stuff. And you and I have said this before, and it probably sounds like a broken record, but I think these are the type of conversations that
the hobby as a whole would benefit if there were more of on YouTube instead of less shitty product reviews and nonsense about, is my square guppy pregnant, you know?
See, here's the problem. I start my streams out with the entire my entire intention is to start a stream exactly like what you mean. And then it just derails into God only knows what. And yeah, it doesn't do anything after that. So
Right.
I'd rather hang out with you and we're going to stay on topic, because given my audience, yeah, they derail me into God only knows what.
Right. And that, like you said, it depends on your audience, and it depends on who you let directly in the conversation. You know, like there's some people that they'll have a live stream going and it'll be two people talking about a great topic and there's good discussion. And then they let a third person get up on the panel or whatever you want to call it. And it just goes to shit.
Welcome to my world.
So I,
but anyways, I got to get out of here. Dude, I love talking with you all the time. You know, you and I, we think a lot alike. We really do. And I think you're definitely on track on how to keep fish healthy, and people need to listen to you. They really do, because you do a lot better job of explaining it than I do. I am horribly bad at trying to explain something. And we need more people like you to explain this crap, because we have people like me that can't explain it for shit.
Yeah. I mean, that's why it's important to get a couple different points of view, or even if it's the same point of view, just a couple different people talking about it, because like you said, maybe one person can express it better or kind of explain it in a different manner that more people might be able to pick up on.
But anyways, I'm out of here. I love all you guys in the chat. Man, you guys got to hang out with this guy all the time. Anyways, I'm out of here.
All right. See you, Terry. Have a good night. All right, guys. Well, Terry's gone. I think I just finished up down here for the night. It's still a disaster. Matt's poking fun at Terry. There's a lot of old heads around. Like you said, Bob, unfortunately, you know, a lot of the knowledge and experience in this hobby doesn't use YouTube or Facebook, which is why it's important to get out to like a swap meet or a convention or a club. And, you know, a lot of the old guys still hang out in the clubs. So get involved with a local club if you can. You're going to meet mentors. You're going to meet people that you can mentor and, you know, really help the hobby out. But that's about all I've got for tonight. Terry picked a good time to call it quits. I got to get going too. Bob, thanks for all the input tonight. Crown Tail Half Moon, always a pleasure having you around. Matt, appreciate you. Have I tried the new dechlorinator? I haven't. If you guys have been watching me, I've been all these tanks I did, water changes. I use RO for the most part, so I don't use a whole lot of dechlorinator, to be honest. I'll look at it and see what I can figure out. Anybody else? Patty's here. Appreciate you. Brian over at Pepland, thanks, buddy. Appreciate you stopping by. I'll try to do, you know, 1 or 2 more streams here the rest of the week, and at least hang out with you guys and we can chat, whatever. See what you guys have going on. Be curious, Bob. Be nice to be able to stream with you once and have a little conversation or something, and get to see your guys' tanks. Alishan, a pleasure. Hope you guys all have a great night. Thanks for tuning in. As always, this is Mike, All Things Fish. We'll see you next time.